Welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Tuesday, January 12th. I'm your host for today's program, Paul Demain. Many of the stories read here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com. Here are the news stories for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. Prosecutors asked a federal judge to dismiss an indictment against a fugitive charged in an immigration fraud scheme by a Kansas group that claimed to be an Indian tribe. The government says in a court document filed during January that the whereabouts of George Valerial are not known, and it is unlikely that he will be apprehended. Valerial is one of 11 people charged in a scheme by the so-called Kawiya Indian Nation that defrauded immigrants by telling them that joining the tribe would give them U.S. citizenship. The group's leader, Malcolm Weber, is serving a 5-year prison term in a scheme that ensnarled about 12,000 people around the nation. The Justice Department this week ordered prosecutors in 33 states to step up their efforts to combat persistently high violent crime on reservations, particularly offenses against women and children. Attorney General Eric Holder was to announce the initiative after his deputy David Ogden issued a memo to federal prosecutors to those areas instructing them to do more to fight tribal crime, a problem the Justice Department has long been accused of ignoring. Ogden's memo also said 47 new prosecutors and FBI personnel will be assigned to handle such crimes. On tribal lands, federal officials are usually responsible for prosecuting serious crimes. While the nationwide crime rate continues to fall, statistics show American Indians are the victims of violent crime at more than twice the national rate, and some tribes have murder rates against women 10 times greater than that of the national average. Sioux Falls police are asking for help finding a man missing since this last Sunday. 57-year-old Eugene Byron Blue Arm was last heard from around January 10th. Blue Arm didn't show up for an appointment on Monday, January 11th, and was then reported missing according to a news release. Blue Arm is a Native American, 6 feet tall, 200 pounds, and has brown hair and brown eyes. He has impaired vision and other medical conditions. Anyone with information on Eugene Blue Arm is asked to call police. In her 11th State of the Band speech as chief executive of the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe in Minnesota, Marge Anderson called for unity and strength in overcoming several difficult issues on the Mille Lacs Reservation. Acknowledging that the band's problems will take years of courage to address, she spoke of violence, gang activity, drug and alcohol abuse, and a lack of trust in band government. Quote, "We cannot wish or pretend our problems away," Anderson told an audience of about 1,300 band members and guests at the Grand Casino Mille Lacs Events and Convention Center. "If we do these problems will destroy us one by one, family by family, until our very culture is destroyed," unquote. This was Anderson's second State of the Band message since returning to the chief executive post after several years in political retirement. After she took office in January of 2009, she and the band's other elected officials unified behind the urgent needs of rebuilding the Mille Lacs Band as a nation, following evidence of theft and misconduct by a few former government officials. Anderson called on the band membership to draw on the courage shown by generations of Mille Lacs Band veterans to inspire their own courageous leadership. Negotiators have wrapped up the second half of a two-part agreement to remove 4 dams on the Klamath River to help salmon. Representatives of governments, tribes, fishermen, and conservation groups concluded talks in Sacramento, California this month on a $1 billion worth of fish and wildlife habitat restoration and greater assurances of irrigation water for farmers. Portland-based Pacific Corp has already agreed to the terms of removing the dams. Craig Tucker, Klamath campaign coordinator for the Karak tribe, says a signing ceremony could take place next month after enough of the parties approve the final document. Actual removal of the dams would not start until the year 2020 and depends on raising millions of dollars from cash-strapped California and the federal government. Leaders of the Shoshone-Bannock tribes are considering making a closed reservation rule, and that's got some non-tribal members living on the reservation worried. The Idaho State Journal reports the proposed ordinance would declare the reservation in eastern Idaho closed, requiring trespass permits for people who want to access tribal land. Officials say tribal members, their families, federal or Shoshone-Bannock employees, business patrons, and property owners would be exempt. The tribe's attorney, Mark Echohawk, says the rule would simply allow the tribe to maintain regulatory authority on the reservation, not that toll gates would go up and people would be forbidden from entering the reservation or from going on the land. And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to thank you all for joining with us again today. Miigwech.